What if I told you that making more money is the exact same process as when you learn how to drive a car? Like, I remember the first time I learned how to drive, I had this big problem where I wanted to use both my left and my right feet, one for the gas and one for the brake. It was like super hard for me. I don't know why, I guess I'm not that smart. But I figured it out way faster than I thought. Then it just became the easiest thing ever, and I've driven for, I don't know, however many years and never got in an accident. Knock on wood. So it's an actual scientific process, a neuroscientific process in your brain. And you can use it for money. You can use it to attract your soulmate, to improve your health, career, new job, selling your house, whatever it is that you want. The same way that you learn how to drive a car or how to eventually get proficient using a keyboard, it's just a learned automatic pattern in your brain. And I'm going to show you the science behind it and how you can use that very easy process that you use for driving a car and learning how to do that, the same automatic process where you can turn your brain into an unconscious magnet to bring money in your life, love in your life, and achieve any of your other goals. It's very, very, very cool. So my name's Jake with jakeducey.com. Wishing you a beautiful day. If you haven't yet, be sure to get my free financial success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification. Thanks for being here, and let's dive right into it. I had no idea that you're changing your brain right now. Every time you learn something new, your brain is making new connections. So this means the DNA inside your brain cells gets a signal, and in just a moment, it creates a new neural branch and all these new connections with other cells. It's called a genetic change. So if you're not learning anything new, if you're not setting new goals, trying different things, your brain is basically staying the same. Scientists who study the brain and neuroplasticity, they say that when you make new thoughts, new choices, you learn new skills, new emotions, your brain physically changes. So your brain rewires itself based off of every experience or emotion or thing that happens to you. Now, if you learn something new and then you keep practicing it, your brain builds the hardware for that knowledge. Your brain memorizes it, basically. And the more that you practice it, the more you build stronger neural connections until it becomes an automatic habit in your brain. That's why, like, brushing your teeth or driving the car and learning when to press the gas or the brake eventually becomes easy because your brain created strong neural networks. These networks are like teams of brain cells that eventually work automatically once it's a learned behavior. So think about something in your life that you don't want. Maybe you're struggling with money, maybe you're struggling with attracting your soulmate, with confidence, with health. The cool thing about that, if there is a cool thing, because I know it might suck if you're in debt, or it's like, it sucks when you're having difficulty in relationships, it's no fun, right? Well, the cool thing about it, the only reason it's happening is your brain has just memorized it. But the coolest thing, it is irrefutable scientific proof you can actually reprogram your brain to get rich, to get out of that financial position. You can reprogram your brain to attract your soulmate and amazing relationships and have the confidence. It's the same process as when you first learned how to drive a car and eventually it's automatic. Your brain can automatically become that magnet for money or love or whatever else you want. So whatever it is that you want, just think about this, right? Imagine there's a group. They've never played the piano in their lives like me, and they're playing all the chords, right? And they're doing it with one hand for 5 days. And neuroscientists scan their brain before and after practicing. After those 5 days, they can measure the new neural connections in their brain. Literally. And you take another group that didn't play, they just imagined playing it. So 5 days, they didn't play, they just imagined it in their head. guess what happens? Their brains show the same neural changes as the group that actually played for 5 days. Just imagining doing something versus actually doing something, your brain treats them both as real experiences. That was a Harvard neuroscientist study, right? Imagine, you don't need the money to train your brain to actually become rich. You don't need the relationship to come to train your brain that you're lovable and that you're in these amazing relationships. Your brain treats imaginary and real as the exact same thing. So in another experiment, they took one group of people and they physically pulled on a spring every single day, and then another group just imagined pulling a spring. And the group that physically pulled the spring, they got stronger muscles, which, makes sense. Like if you're pulling on this, you're going to have tension, and that tension is going to create muscle strength. Ugh. But guess what? The group that just imagined it got stronger too. They actually showed a 22% increase in their muscle strength, just a group that imagined pulling on the string. Irrefutable proof. Just by imagining something, you can change your brain. And the current reality that you have is just because your brain has memorized it, it's mentally rehearsed it over and over and over. It's not only become an automatic way of thinking, just like you'll automatically drive a car and sometimes you space out and forget where you're going. Well, you also have autopilot, not just with driving your car, you have autopilot with your finances, autopilot with your love, autopilot with your health, autopilot with your whole life. So if that makes sense to you, you can let me know in the comments down below. I get it. Because here's the key. A new version of yourself starts with creating new brain patterns that eventually become automatic. Then they start to feel natural. And when they start to feel natural, your brain starts to change your entire reality. So if you want to take a hold of this in your life and see measurable changes in your money and your health and your love and your career and your happiness, the first thing is you have to suspend your disbelief. I'm not trying to make this super heady, in-depth science video, right? So I just kind of glossed over it. But the actual science behind it is crazy. The neuroscience, there's books written by neuroscientists where you read them, like The Brain That Changes Itself. In that book, they had people that were blind, and they were able to train new parts of their brain to take over visual aspects, and they could see again. Like people that were paraplegic, that could start to move their limbs again. It's crazy, just through the same process of neuroplasticity. So changing your finances, changing your love life, your career, your health, these are small things compared to what the brain can actually do. And the only thing that makes it seem so big is our paradigm, our conditioning. And that's why you have to suspend your disbelief. You can comment that down below, suspend my disbelief. The same way you go and you watch a movie or a show. The only reason you can enjoy a movie is because you suspend your disbelief. You're not watching Yellowstone and going, no, that's Kevin Costner. This is all fake. Hey everyone, this is super dumb. That's Kevin. No, you don't do that. You suspend your disbelief, and that allows you to get into the characters and the emotion of the story. And it's the same way with changing your reality. Suspend your disbelief that what has been won't control what will be. Which brings us to number 2. First, you suspend your disbelief, and then you start to teach your brain a new reality. I always say to brainwash yourself before the world brainwashes you, because the world's always brainwashing us. All it is, everything in our life, all the results, your bank account, your love, your health, all it is a neurological pattern that's become automatic. And then it's an autopilot that controls our life. So your brain just needs new instructions. It needs a new destination. And the way that you do this is through constant spaced repetition. which is reinforcing the same idea until your brain takes it over, in the same way that you learn how to drive a car. Like, I remember the first time I learned how to drive a car, it was with my mom, and I guess I was 15 and a half, right about the time I got my learner's permit. And we were in the parking lot of my high school on a weekend when no one was there. And I had the hardest time using one foot for the brake and gas. I wanted to use 2 feet. So I wanted my right foot on the gas, my left foot on the brake, which caused some problems because I'd press both at the same time sometimes. It was super, I remember I went home, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna learn how to drive a car. But the crazy thing, within like 7 days, it was pretty easy. And within a couple months, it was no problem. And then by the time a year or two pass, you can be talking to the person in the passenger seat, you can look at a sign and still remember, hit the gas, harder, softer, this, right? It becomes automatic and subconscious. And the way that you do this is to know what it is that you want and then insert that program into your brain through constant spaced repetition. And so what I did is I created a success hypnosis for myself. You can get it for free. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's my free success hypnosis to reprogram your subconscious mind. And I would listen to this every single day for a couple minutes, and while I would listen to it, I would mentally rehearse imagining my YouTube channel going viral when I had like a couple thousand subscribers. Now we're almost at 1 million. I would mentally rehearse my books being on the bookshelves at Barnes & Noble next to Wayne Dyer when I was a self-published author. Then, about a year or two later, I got published by Penguin Random House, and I was in bookstores and translated in other languages. All you need is a clear picture of what you want, and then you practice the emotions of it. And you start making up the scenarios, seeing them clearly in your head while you listen to the success hypnosis, and you fire those new cells. And when you fire those new cells, after you do that, the same way you slowly learn how to use the brake and the gas on a car, your brain relearns a new reality with your finances, with your love, with your health, and then that ultimately changes your reality. But step number 3 is to not allow the outside world to control your thinking during the time lapse, because there is a delayed time lapse between you giving your brain a new destination and building new neurological connections and that becoming a physical reality. There's a time delay. The same way you put a seed in the ground and the next day it's not a tomato plant, there's a time lapse. There's a gestation and an incubation period for it to go from a seed to a tomato plant or to a carrot or to an apple tree. Well, there's a gestation and incubation process to give your brain new instructions, turn it into a neural network, and then it shifts your outer reality. What happens to most people is they think it needs to be absolutely instantaneous, or they have their own pre-imagined timeline, and when it doesn't happen within that specified timeline, which often is like a day or 2 or 3, and they don't see the results, then they look and their bank account still doesn't have the money, or their soulmate hasn't shown up. Their 5 senses start to control their thinking. So they go, I guess it's always going to be like this. I guess it doesn't work. I'm just broke. I'm just unlovable. I'll always be alone. I'm giving up on guys. I'm giving up on women. And then the outside world controls your thinking. But if the outside world controls your thinking, you can't create anything greater. That's why the term visionary is so awesome. Like we call like Steve Jobs, he was a visionary. He just lived from an inner vision. That's what a visionary is. We think about like this person and these people are visionaries. You know, we love our visionaries and they're on the cover of Time magazine. It's just someone that lived from an inner vision. They had an inner vision that they were steadfast enough. They believed in enough. Faith is the ability to see what your eyes cannot see, which is a prerequisite to changing your reality. So understand there's a gestation and incubation period or a time lapse. And whenever your mind starts to give in, it starts to have that avalanche back to the old reality. Oh my God. That's when you take a deep breath, turn on my success hypnosis, and that's when you really up your game with practicing the new emotions and practicing the new feelings. And when you do this and you don't allow the outside old habitual program to kick in and go boom, and you don't allow that, you get that shift. And when that shifts, it happens quick. I went from having a couple thousand YouTube subscribers to having 250,000 in a couple months. I went from making a couple $1,000s, like $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I went from that to making 7 figures, $1 million a year, and it happened within about 12 months. It happens so quickly, but you have to understand there's a gestation and incubation. So get my free success hypnosis, jakeshypnosis.com, and start to give your brain new instructions, new commands. Your brain is your servant, and you can start to change your brain based off of your attention and your imagination. Imagining something greater than your 5 senses, because you're meant for something more. You really are. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification right over there. Get my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com, pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. And comment down below, I'm meant for something more. I'm meant for something more. You are meant for something more.